Hi, I'm Ed Boyle, and I am co-owners along with Kathy Boyle of Katchen Company Real Estate.
Hi, and I'm Kathy Boyle. I guess we are co-owners and we're in real estate. So there you go.
Anyhow, for those of you that for those of you who aren't familiar with Katchen Company is a boutique full-service real estate firm, and we offer both residential and commercial property solutions throughout the greater Denver metro area. Started out great, Kath. What do you want to talk about today?
You know, I think that it was good. We needed a little humor to start out the day, right? You know, everything
Yeah.
gets a little serious, so let's have some fun. Anyway, I thought today we might talk about commercial leases for people that maybe have never had to delve into the world of commercial leasing and looking at that aspect of their business. So as we know that we're coming out of or on the backside of COVID, let's hope for all intent and purpose. And there were a lot of businesses that went out during this time, but there's a lot of new businesses that are looking to come in and to find a brick and mortar space. And so for those that have never been in that position before, I think it'd be interesting to talk about different leases that they could look into getting into and what might be the most advantageous for their business. So I'm turning it over to you.
All right.
That's your area of expertise.
All right. So it's kind of interesting because the types of leases that are available on commercial properties differ across the country. And so what we'll talk about today is what traditionally occurs in Colorado, and that is changing. Okay, just like anything else, there's going to be changes, and those changes are based upon the needs of the landlord as well as the needs of the tenant. Okay, so what I think that's the best way to talk about it is type of property. So if you're looking at a retail shopping center, retail space, okay, normally what you're going to see is what they call a triple net lease, and that means that you're paying base rent and then net taxes, net insurance, and net common area maintenance, which they call CAM. And so what that means is that on top of your base rent, you're going to take and pay your proportionate share of the shopping center's expenses that it takes to operate that property. Okay, so that's the primary type of lease that you'll see. There are others out there, and as we walk through some of this, we'll talk about it more. But just keep in mind that more than likely, if you're looking for retail space, that's what they're going to tell you. Okay, so if we look at office space is a little different. And what you hear a lot talked about it is a full service gross lease. Okay, and what that means is that they pay base rent, and in the base rent are the other charges that involve operating the center. Okay,
so they combine them all together.
They're combining it all together, and so the base rent includes that. Okay, so out of your pocket, the only expense that you're going to have is for your phones and internet and things like that, the connectivity there. But your trash removal, the cleaning of the office space, gas and electric, all of those things, including the property taxes, insurance, and common area maintenance, are going to be included in that. And so predominantly, that is the type of lease that you'll see and be quoted. There are other types as well, and then we'll go back over that, but we want to just kind of swing through these quickly in the sake of time. Okay, the next type of property that you'll look at is going to be industrial space. Okay, industrial warehousing. We'll combine those two together. Okay, now normally what you see there is what they would call a gross lease. And that lease is you pay base rent, and there are some charges which would evolve around the property taxes and the insurance that you would pay additional. Okay. And then the other expenses, you're going to end up taking and paying those yourself out of pocket. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Get to flex space. Flex space is basically it's industrial looking and feel. Parking ratios are smaller. It's built out anywhere from 10% to 50% with office. The other remaining portion, which isn't office, is going to be warehousing, or it could be manufacturing or something like that, depending upon the zoning that's there.
Right.
Okay. And so that one is really kind of a hybrid. There's a lot of different ways that it's quoted out. Okay. And this is where we'll talk about all these other ones, because we're going to deal with this. So you can have them take and tell you that it's going to be a triple net lease. You could have them tell you it's going to be a full service lease. You could have them tell you that it was going to be a gross lease. And then they could throw you a curve and they could take and say it's a modified gross lease. Okay. Modified gross lease means that it's sort of a la carte on the landlord's behalf. So the landlord says you pay base rent, and I'm going to take and pay for the water, and I'm going to take and pay for the property tax on it, but everything else you're going to take and pay for. We see that happen a lot, and the reason is that because the water and the property taxes can, if they're not paid, can put a lien on the property. So the landlord decided, I want to pay those because I don't want to lien on my property. But then the rest of the stuff you need to take and pay for. Okay.
Okay.
So
I have a question.
So when you're sure.
Okay. So number one, are people able to negotiate the type of lease that they enter into on a given property?
Not really. Not really.
Okay.
You have to recognize that it's the prices that rent for your base rent are being charged are really based upon what the total cost is for a property owner to run that building and then take and figure a profit for themselves. Okay. So it's that the operation plus the profit that they have to have. What happens when you take and change the dynamics of the lease, the style of lease that it is, it's going to create a couple of problems for the property owner. They may end up losing money, okay? Or it may also be that it's harder to administrate because you now have somebody that has a triple net lease, somebody else that has, a modified gross lease, and they're all on the same property. And so they're not going to want to do that. And truly from a property management standpoint, they're going to, the landlord's going to want everything to be the same. Okay.
That makes sense.
From the standpoint of a landlord, a triple net lease is the best because it means that they don't have to worry about any costs, that the tenants are paying for those costs. Okay. Probably the best for a tenant is going to be a full service gross lease because it says I don't have to pay anything additional. Now there's some hybrid, and we talked a little bit about possibly being some hybrids. Full service gross lease, you can have what they call a base year. And so what happens is that after the first year that a tenant's been in the space, the landlord will take and look at what the cost per square foot was in operating costs. And then that number is recorded. In future years, if the expenses exceed that recorded number for that tenant, the tenant pays their pro rata share of that. Okay. And so that's a hybrid. And that's even better for the landlord. Okay. And so, when you look at commercial leases, there's a substantial number of types of leases. There's other things that get negotiated that can make it financially favorable for a tenant. The same thing for a landlord. What I'd have to say is that whether you're a landlord or a tenant, if you're looking to lease space, it is well within your interest and benefit to take and hire a real estate professional to help you with that. Okay. Without doing
Absolutely.
that, I think
Yep.
that it doesn't matter whether you're the landlord or the tenant, there's going to be money that you could have saved that you're not going to.
Absolutely.
Well, unless you have
And
some
you have
questions
done
for
a
me,
lot of leases over the years.
okay. So I think that's it, unless you got some questions for me.
Okay. No, I was just going to say, you've had a lot of experience over the years dealing with a lot of different leases, and I do believe that if somebody is questioning whether they should be looking at something, that you would be an excellent person to talk to. So
Thanks.
there you go.
You're a great spokesperson for me. Well, anyway, I am
You're
Ed
welcome.
Boyle, and
And I'm Kathy Boyle.
you can reach me at 303-564-5387.
And you can reach me at 303-507-0859, or you can email me at kboyle.kb@gmail.com.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for viewing.
All right. Have a great